Okay, how I made my big top. The last top I made. Okay, this top is mahogany and white oak. And then there's a Delrin plug. And you can see a bearing in there, like a 5/8 bearing. It's been pressed in, and the Delrin's been pressed into with little grooves machined in it, working. I could put the glue in there with weld bond, so it has a press fit and weld bond. I try to do that with everything. And over here I have, you can see the bearing in there. It's about a 1/2 inch deep. It looks like about, I don't know, 7/16 bearing. And then it has, you can see the lead, the rope lead in there. It's been drilled to balance the top. And then it has a Delrin sleeve right here. Another Delrin sleeve here. That's actually all press fit, because I like the black look, and then I like that style there because it looks like the Colombian tops, and it's 2 halves here. So actually, the wood, the pieces, is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of wood glued together. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I have the white oak, the mahogany, and then my son told me rotate it, and I rotated. That's why you can see the white oak here, and then the rest is mahogany. And I like the way it looked. It looks today. So, this is new, so I wanted, to see if I could. I like to pull my tips in, but they don't come out. And so that's why I have. This is the tip. This is steel right here, the 632, a set screw with the aluminum rod, 1/4 inch rod. Then I've turned this down, and I've drilled and tapped this end too at 632. So this will fit in. This will run on this bearing here, and the top bearing here, and it pulls in, and that way, the tip won't come out, and it's like. It's a little less than a press fit where it slides in, because once you get them too tight in there, you can't get the bearing off the rod if it's a tight press. So this goes in here like this. Okay, and then I tie it in. And also, what I do is when I drill the holes for the rope lead, and I call this rope lead because it comes in a roll. It's 3/16, and I'll drill these like maybe 1 inch deep, and then I'll press maybe 3/4 in, where I can always add more lead, and you can always drill the lead out, so you can control it. So once you balance it with a penny going around, you know where to put your holes at to put your lead. And let's see. So when I drill the holes, I made this little aluminum fixture here, and it fits whatever size I'm going into. See, so it goes like that on the Bridgeport in a chuck, and then I put this up here, lines it all up for me, and then I put my screw in here with a plate, and I can drill my 3 holes. And then I put, like mag bases around here to keep that steady. So it's pretty solid. I don't make a fixture for that because it's not worth it. I'm only making a few of these. So these came out good. Nice straight hole. Drill your hole, rotate it, drill your hole, rotate, drill your hole, and then put your lead in, and that's the way it comes out. So that's different than other people are doing. So I use the rope lead in everything. How I go about cutting this. See, once I put all these pieces together, 5 pieces together, then I put it in a lathe, and I use a spud to hold it with, like this. I made this a solid aluminum, has 4 holes. It's been countersunk, so once you put your screws in, it won't spin on you. And I'll take, this is an example. Take this, put it on here, and I can do this at home. and I do my drilling. I put the wood screws in, and then I can hold it in a 5C collet, and I can turn this end down, and that way I can work on both ends. This is too long, but just for example. And if it's too short, you know, if it just barely makes the top, I have another one of these. I have a bigger piece. I have another one that I made for big tops, you know, and that bolts right in with the wood screws. The screws right in. So that's the way I can do two halves. You know, I'll turn this down, and then I'll take it over to the saw and cut it. Then I have two different pieces, and I can, you know, I cut this square on a lathe, because I use a metal lathe, so you can do, you know, you can do close work. You know, the tolerances can be like 3/10. You can hold it, and you get nice straight cuts. If you have a compound, you can do your angles, you know, and then I use the wood tools to come around and do my shape, you know, and I use standard wood tools, and the best steel to use is Momax Cobalt, because you can grind it easy, and you're right back up cutting. So, but if you cut Delrin, what you want to do with your tool is, you know, you get it sharp and you dull it a little bit, because Delrin with a real sharp tool will gives a bad finish. But if you dull it down just with Scotch-Brite or something like that, you can get that glass finish. Okay, so that's what I do. I, you know, go ahead and I just turn it down, I cut it on the saw, then I bring it back, and I work on this half, and then I work on this half, and I draw this all to scale. So when I'm cutting this side of the bowl, I have my diameter and I have my Z, and I go to those dimensions. You know, this is that big by that depth and so forth, it's stepped. And then I come in with my wood tools and I blend it in, and I do the same to this side. I do, you know, all my Z's at my diameters, then I just blend it in, you know. And if you want to, you know, if you do it a different way, you can use this little tool that just measures your wall thickness if you're going to do the whole bowl. And I bought this on eBay like $4 because, you know, why buy something expensive like 50, 60 bucks, you know. And I only used it once because I got close on one little spot and I really wanted to see how big it was. And it was dangerous, so I put a little wood ring in here I made up out of same thing, the oak, and it just pressed in. I glued it together with a press fit, and then I went there and cleaned it up, and then I got my wall thickness back, and it looks cool, and you don't see it. So you know, if you're gonna make a top, it's your you know, like your hollow here, and you can get to it. You know, you better make a plug for it. And if it's going to be a real thin top, you better put a spacer in here, you know, where you can, with lightning holes, where you can, with this, you know, you can strengthen this up and this is up, so when you do hit, it won't bust on you. And you know, because you're putting a lot of time into something like this, so let's put this together here. And I love this, man. You know, the shaft long, and you pull it in. And the thing I did wrong on this one is I put used bearings in here. And now I've got to take the bearings out, maybe, because we don't even use it. And buy brand new bearings, and you can use a heat gun to take a lot of this out. This will pop right out too. So it's just this big top. You know, you get over 4 inches, and they're not fun to play with. They're not. You can see this really doesn't spin that well yet. I have to repair it. You know, the other one came out good. This one's like, it shouldn't have done that. Okay, so I got that in there, and then I'll put my little. See, this is a set screw. It's got one of those little nuts on it there, and it's got a washer, lock washer. So that'll pull right in, and use this tool here. And this should pull it in. Looks clean. And then I make little caps. See, this is Delrin, little cap that goes in there. Press fit. It's got a 632 hole in it. That presses right in. So now, there's my top. Let's drop it. Okay. And it's like 6 5/8, something like that. It's big. And I use this to measure my tops, weigh them. Let's see how heavy it is. It's something like 1 pound 8 ounces, which is big enough. How people can throw a 5 pound top, I don't know. This kills you. You know, the other one I put the video on after doing the tricks, I was beat, man. It wasn't really all that much fun, and then it is dangerous. The big ones will get you, man. And Delrin tops are even worse. So, what I said about tools, your best tools, I like a lip ground in there, and this is Cobalt Momax, works nice. But then you have, you have your feeds. See, with a lathe, buy a good used lathe for about $5,000. With a lathe, when you have an interrupted cut like this, it just feeds right through it. It does everything. But when you come to doing your arc, you have to go to the wood tools. You can rough it in steps, and then you have to blend it. Because like a CNC will do it perfect, inside and outside, by just drawing with your geometry, using a master cam or something like that. It comes out beautiful. And that's the way to actually do a top in Delrin. So, these are my spuds. I hold it in the lathe with a 5C collet. I like a 5C collet because you can, it just chucks up smooth, beautiful, and you can even do your tips. It'll clamp on the tip here, and as long as this diameter is smaller than this diameter, you can slide in and you can do your body, and then do your shoulder and your head and so forth. So I do like 5C collets, and this is one I made with that wood, and the other one is this one, and this is the straight tip. And the only thing different is that this doesn't have the bearings, and this is the one I made the video with, and this is even big, too big, believe it or not, too big. But I did make the one video. I like the 4-inch tops. That's what I like. Now, the rope I use is for 1/8. I buy that at Home Depot. For 3/16 and 1/4 inch, I buy that at Big 5. And then for this big line I found, I love it, for the big top, this is at Home Depot, and this is green. It's a green cord, and I seen it up there on the top, and I got some, and it gives that pop action that you want on a underhand throw. And that's the trick to throwing underhand, is it's not throwing hard, it's throwing nice and smooth with that pop at the end, and that top comes flying back. So I've said before, I use heat shrink. Well, this one here is so big that I use like 1 tube of heat shrink, then I took the 3M tape, went around, and then I put another heat shrink on there, and I use CA, and then a lighter, and it lights it up, and you don't get that big knot, and you don't get that catch coming back at you. So this has worked really nice, and I have videos showing that, but might as well try to show the green. The other video was when it wasn't finished, and that's the way it looks, and it's fun, and at this length it works out great. So I just don't do it. I made this top for my grandson because it's a bearing. I don't like bearing tops because they're not easy to work with. I like wire walkers, and with a bearing top you have to do wire hoppers, and my grandson's got that down. He can hop across, hop back, hop behind the back of his head, and then back, and do that all in one throw. And he won't throw the top unless it's bearing. Okay, so that's this one. And my rope. This is, I think this is 1/4 inch. Okay, that's 1/4 inch. So that's the biggest rope I have to use on that one. And let's see, put it here. And I'll talk a little bit about, this is the black walnut I did. And you can see there's a knot right here. Well, I made 2 of these. One's a straight tip, and the other one's a bearing. And this is done the same way. See the lead? There's 4 pieces of lead in this one, and it's got the little nut and the whole works. The long shaft is all hollowed out, and steel tip. I make my tips out of steel because stainless around the shop, you don't know what stainless you're using because it's not marked. So you can get some really tough stainless, and it's not worth it. So I just use steel. And let's see this. And then you can see it's got a little wobble. And the wobble is this knot. When I hit that knot, I had a big hole here, and I took CA, and I took the chips, the walnut chips, the dust and so forth, and I put it in there, and where I can get that surface back. And when you go in there with tools, hand tools, when you hit that, it digs in, and you just get a mess. So the only way I was able to do it is take my tool here and step in each step like that, and then I got it all stepped in, and I just fuzz cut it with a hand tool. It was like 80 thousandths out, and now it's like 30 max. But this isn't a bowl, man. It's a top, and a top's going to show you every mistake you have. But then you got something. You got a toy. I mean, I don't know why people make bowls. I have a bowl that eats cereal. Big deal. I like a toy. I don't like something that sits in a dust collector. So, this is another top that just, the people love it. Oh wow, that's beautiful, and this gives character. Well, I don't want this. It's like a rotten tooth, man. But it does. But it is beautiful. But it's just another thing that I wouldn't do. I would never make a black walnut again. I would never make a cedar top again. And what else is a little bit different on this? You can see the cracks. And I kept this one wet, and I still have cracks. And if you don't keep it wet, like you're roughing, and then what you want to do is spray it, put something on it, clear, linseed oil, anything. And then when you come back the next day, start with your cutting again, and then coat it again. And then when you finish up, just put your coating on there, clear on it, or something. And so, it's very time consuming. This top isn't used. It's just the 4-inch tops dominate. And then you see the wood screws that I use, the tools involved. There's one other thing I do use that's different on the balancing technique. See, here's a little clamp that I've got that I put on top, and then 632. This is I'm into aluminum washers. They really come in handy. And you can buy these nice long 632 screws. They're special. And this washer has a slot in it. It's like 1/8 by 3/4 inch. So if I put it up there for fine tuning, I can offset this and find out where my high spot is, my heavy spot. And and so it keeps it. When you get close, you don't have to use tape. You can find what that is, then go back and add a little bit more lead if you want, or take a little bit more lead out. And this guy told me that wood is alive, so that means it's moving all the time, I guess. And if you balance it perfect, 3 months later, a month later, it's not going to be the same. It moves, and that's why you want, the woods that don't need balancing that I've found so far is poplar. Doesn't need to be balanced. And cedar, no, cedar's bad. What's the other one called? Zebra. Zebra doesn't need to be balanced. Zebra's nice, but zebra's heavy. So if you make a top out of zebra, you better hollow it out. Poplar, you really don't have to hollow if it's going to be 4-inch because it stays pretty light. And but the other ones, they have to be hollowed. And and if you don't know, keep the wood wet. Because once it starts cracking and moving on you, you're about dead. So that's where I'm at tops right now. The fighting part is fun. I've got this new line I just made up, and I got this at an Orchard Supply. It's like camouflage line, and it's 1/8 or 3/32. I think it's 3/32, and it's like $4 for 50 feet. And this is a good throwing line because it's cheap, and Chris's line throws perfect. But I'm always looking for like Watts, looking for a line that I can use and that is cheap, and then I was dyeing my lines, and that's not worth it. So this is just to help you get going. You're gonna make a big top, you're not gonna use it, and it's better to stay with a 4-inch and make a top that will do something, that will give you the tricks you want, and then throw fighting style if you want. So you make a top that you can play with, and it can get ugly. You're going to have more fun. And you make a beautiful top, and believe me, it's going to hit something. You could be on the grass and be a piece of rock, and you'll hit it. And when we did a top up, I take a hobby iron and a heat gun, and I'll iron it. Put some water on it, and try to draw the wood back up. And then the heat gun, and you get the wood to come back up, and you can get it looking 90% better, and then restain it. And but the main thing about tops is they're fun. They're fun. So go out there, Jack, man, and make us some beautiful tops, and we'll always be proud of you. That's it.